Imagine leading a yoga class where before you've even said a word, the room is filled with a vibrant stillness and sense of heartful connection. Perhaps you've already had a profound experience with sound, or a yoga class or a kirtan where it's just touched your heart completely. In this video, I want to show you 3 ways that you can incorporate sound in your yoga class with or without a harmonium. And I just want to also say, because so many people say to me that they don't feel they have a good voice, and you do not need to have a good singing voice to be able to share mantras. So my name is Daisy. I've been on the journey of life for a while now, and I'm a yoga teacher, of course, but I also am a sound and Ayurveda practitioner. I dived into sound and the possibilities within it, particularly for mental and emotional well-being. Early on in my yoga journey, I discovered how easy it was to come from head to heart. Deep, profound shifts in me when I just heard mantras. I didn't know the meaning of them at all, and they seemed to affect me on a level way beyond the mind, like the Gayatri mantra. And since I've been teaching a regular yoga class in Freiburg, I've been incorporating sonic tools, mantra, to my classes because I've seen the effects it's had on myself, but also on the people that come. And so I really wanted to encourage you as a yoga teacher to consider that these tools may be something that are very beneficial for you, but also for your yoga students as well. So let's dive in. And the first thing I want to talk about is the benefits of sound. Why do this in the first place? Well, I've already shared my own benefits, but primarily I feel the number one reason I love using sound in classes is the unifying and internalizing effect it has on the people in the class. It brings everyone from all different kind of ways of living their lives, stresses, ups and downs. They've all come from all these different places, and then into this one moment we are in togetherness. Hearing this drone sound, it's like a call to prayer, and it's like a vortex that sucks everyone into this moment. And with the voice you can also create a drone-like sound. This is the first reason. It's immersive, and it creates this opportunity for the yoga class to be an internal affair as well, bring people to themselves so that they're centered and not externalizing so much with the yoga postures, that it's about getting into the body, it's about getting back to themselves. So that's the first reason. The second reason is it is very calming for the nervous system. So this obviously contributes to that sense of unification anyway, but it literally can soothe and bring a sense of safety to people when they hear the right sounds, which I will show you how to create either using a harmonium or a shruti box or with your voice. It can bring about that sense of, here I can relax. So the third way is that I feel that chanting, using our singing or sounding voice, fosters a sense of authenticity, that it breaks down a barrier between any kind of notion of ourselves and what's simply inside of us, because sound is so close to who we are, and we reveal that and we share that. And this is so welcome, I feel, by so many people these days, or anywhere I'm looking for when I go to a yoga class, is that sense of connection. And through the voice, it's a really, really beautiful way to discover this, to explore this, and to come into this communal feeling, this communal container where we're exchanging. It's an invitation, please sing back. So it's a very participatory and joyful experience. So how do we get started with sound if you're completely new to bringing mantra or the harmonium into a class? So I'm going to talk about 3 ways that I use sound in my yoga classes, and I'm going to weave in throughout examples of how I'm going to do this with a harmonium or with an alternative or with no harmonium at all, because all 3 can be extremely effective. I personally prefer the harmonium just simply because I love kirtan. I'm also a kirtan singer, and so the musical aspect is important for me and I enjoy it. But you don't need to do that to have these powerful tools integrated in your class. But I will just talk about this drone sound now. Here I've turned my harmonium into a drone machine. I've taken off the springs off 2 keys so that it's just 2 notes playing down. And you hear this continuous sound. It's a beautiful bass. I'm sure you've heard it before. But there's another instrument called a shruti box, which can create this sound anyway. And so if you don't have an inclination to learn the harmonium in full, you can get a Shruti box. It looks a little bit like this travel harmonium, but without the keys, and can be very nice for taking around with you to your yoga classes as well. And the third way is, of course, without anything at all. You can just use your voice. And even though that might sound scary, once I've shown you these few tips and tricks and practices that you can start to cultivate yourself, I hope that this scariness will be at least a little bit reduced. So the first way that I use the sound in a class is an invocation, an opening. And this is tied also with the closing of the class, and it's usually a simplified version of this invocation. And this doesn't have to be complicated at all. In fact, it can be as simple as 3 ohms, and it will still have a very, very powerful effect if you use it in the right way. And as a yoga teacher, when you want to bring something new into a class, I always recommend that you write it out, just like you would with stickmen for new asana sequence. I recommend that you plan out how you might introduce mantras to a class, and even how you might start to play the drone. So gently bringing the drone in, instructing the participants of the class to inhale, and as they exhale to produce the sound of Om, possibly from just below the navel, full sound 3 times. You can even add instruction of come from head to heart as you chant. You can then include a mantra, a very simple one like Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, and followed by Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So this is probably one of the most simple configurations of an invocation, but it's very, very powerful because it does interrupt the mental broadcast for many people, and even if they don't know what the mantra means, the sound impressions will increase the frequency in the system, and it will be a doorway into the inner space. If you're using longer mantras or new mantras, I always encourage people, the teacher trainees that I teach, to look up the traditional meaning of the mantra and contemplate on that a little bit, and come up with your own version of it that's more palatable to someone who's maybe never heard of mantra before. And also to chant this mantra in your own practice as well, so that you get familiar with the sounds. Understand that mantras are like seeds, and even there are mantras called bija mantras, which means seed. And like a seed, they need to be watered in order for them to flower. And in this case, we want to water them with our attention, our awareness, our time spent repeating that, exploring that mantra, and our system starts to vibrate with that sound. And it just means that when we walk into a class and chant this mantra, it will be so much more effective and powerful, and there will be a greater transmission than if you just simply look it up on the internet, go into your class and chant it. It won't have that power, it won't have that impact, basically. So this is kind of a side note, but I feel it's very important. We can't take people anywhere that we haven't been before. And so, yeah, cultivating a little kind of practice for yourself to dive into the sound impressions on a regular basis. So this is the first way that you can use sound, invocation, and closing the class as well. And so this practicing of the mantras also applies to this second way that you can weave in sound into your class, which is simply using those sounds as a meditation in the class, a sound-based meditation. A great time to use this is towards the end of the class, after the body's been warmed up and moved, and there's a readiness to come to stillness. And we can again just use a very simple mantra like Om, and the benefit of Om is that nobody has to think about how to chant it or anything like that. And you can just give the instruction, instead of just chant with me, you say, chant with your own breath rhythm. I'll start off the mantra Om, and we'll chant together for a few minutes continuously and create a carpet of sound, or an ocean of sound. After that, we'll sit silently for a while. Honestly, if you're somebody like I was that felt like I could not meditate, these sound-based meditations are incredible for stilling the busy mind and allowing us to taste the stillness within. It turns the silence into a vibrant aliveness, yet it's absorbing, and it creates so much space that it actually, done over time, can give a whole new perspective on our emotional landscape. So this is a next step, but this is again those points on practicing yourself first. I would love you to discover this for yourself first, and then have that confidence based in your experience to bring into the class. So a very simple way that you can practice this at home is simply to use a timer and put anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes as the initial phase, and then you can use the insight timer to do a multi-phased time period, and then a second phase of maybe again 3 to 5 minutes of stillness. And in this time you can chant Om, or you can simply hum. Humming is another incredible sound-based tool, and it will have an equally beneficial effect. So Om or hum for this 5 minutes, and then simply stay in the space that remains. Don't have to do anything. And then when life comes back in, the busyness of mind or whatever you need to do next, just allow it to come in slowly and then get on with your day. But 5 minutes of this in the beginning or the end of your day and it will be a remarkable discovery. I can almost guarantee it. We're going to use either just the drone with a harmonium or the shruti box, or just the voice. Trust in your own voice, and if you've practiced a little bit at home, it will be amazing and it will be profound. So the last one is probably the scariest one. It's because it's more musical. It's a call and response chanting, otherwise known as Kirtan. In my classes, I use a form of Kirtan which is like Kirtan light. So there's no drummer, there's no other instrumentalist. It's just me and the harmonium, or me and the guitar, and I sing a few times call and response. Sometimes I start it in Shavasana and bring people out gently. And you might think, oh, I'm not musical, I can't do that, I can't play anything. But I'm going to show you at the end of this video the ways that you can do this, again, completely without the harmonium, also just with a drone, and then with chords optionally if you're interested in going into that musical aspect of mantra, which is called Kirtan. So, and you can give the instruction and use a very simple mantra to begin with, like Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. So easy, and you can just explain it's the union of the heart and the body, or it's just a mantra that's from the heart, and it doesn't have to be complicated. And invite those others to sing with you and see what happens. And I'd love to hear how it goes with your own practices and whether you try this in class or not. And so before I give you a little demo of that, if you are curious to explore the harmonium more and to kind of unlock all of its potential in your own daily practice, in your yoga classes, but also the potential to really go out and share Kirtan, I have a course specially for yoga teachers. At the time of filming this, the next course is starting in 1 week's time, but I run these courses several times a year, so just click the link and below or above to find out when the next course is starting, or just get in touch if you've got any questions. I'm really excited to hear from you, and without further ado, let's go into how we will share Kirtan with our class. So this is a participation. So I'm going to sing a line to you, and then you can sing back to me. And the mantra we're going to sing together is Sita Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Very simple. Sita Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sita Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sita Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Beautiful. Now with the drone. Sita Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sita Ram, Jai Jai Ram. All together. Sita Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sita Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Now with chords. Sita